Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanao Bhunaktu Saha Viryankaravavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
अर्जुन उवाच एवं सततयुक्ता ये भक्ताः स्वां पर्युपासते ये चाप्यक्षरमव्यक्तम् तेषां के योगवित्तमाः। श्रीभगवानुवाच मय्यावेश्य मनो ये माम् नित्ययुक्ता उपासते श्रद्धया परयोपेताः ते मे युक्ततमा मताः। ये त्वक्षरमनिर्देश्यम् अव्यक्तं पर्युपासते सर्वत्र गमचिन्त्यं च कूटस्थमचलं ध्रुवम् सन्नियं येन्द्रियग्रामम् सर्वत्र समबुद्धयः ते प्राप्नुवन्ति मामेव सर्वभूतहिते रताः। क्लेशोऽधिकतरस्तेषाम् अव्यक्तासक्तचेतसाम् अव्यक्ता हि गतिर्दुःखम् देहवद्भिरवाप्यते। ये तु सर्वाणि कर्माणि मयि सन्न्यस्य मत्पराः अनन्येनैव योगेन मां ध्यायन्त उपासते तेषामहं समुद्धर्ता मृत्युसंसारसागरात् भवामि न चिरात् पार्थ मय्यावेशितचेतसाम् मय्येव मन आधत्स्व मयि बुद्धिं निवेशय निवसिष्यसि मय्येव अथ ऊर्ध्वं न संशयः। अथ चित्तं समाधातुं न शक्नोषि मयि स्थिरम् अभ्यासयोगेन ततः मामिच्छाप्तुं धनञ्जय अभ्यासेऽप्यसमर्थोऽसि मत्कर्म परमो भव मदर्थमपि कर्माणि कुर्वन् सिद्धिमवाप्स्यसि।
Clarification, Sunil. With the right attitude in the activity and following Nishkama Karma and Bhakti, eventually we acquire wealth. Right. We have family and children. Correct. I also have, Sunil. He is correct. Yeah, you also have, I also have. We both are same. To become a sannyasi, we are trying. We both will try. To become a sannyasi, how to get rid of wealth instead of transferring the wealth to spouse and children. How to get disconnected with family and children. Sunil, where are you now? I'm trying to see where you are. Yes. Then we can give one knock in the head directly. Otherwise, it will misdirect and go to Saumitra. Why unnecessarily poor fellow he has to get? How to disconnect with family and children? Why do you have to disconnect? First question. Before asking how is the technique, why is the cause? The technique is meaningful only when the cause is relevant. Supposing if the cause itself is not there, the how doesn't make any sense at all. Therefore, first is how to disconnect. The answer, why? What is the need to disconnect? What are we connected? How are we connected with anything? Connection to anything happens through mind. We connect with something only by claiming it as mine. Always remember this. Disconnect means if you understand how are you getting connected, then you can understand what is disconnect. You are getting connected by calling it as mine. Now, how do you disconnect? Stop calling them as mine. That's why idam na mama. That's why you find in the rituals we say idam na mama. Na mama is the method by which disconnect happens. That's why in every ahuti we are supposed to say idam na mama. If we don't say that, yajna is not complete. Yajna is not an yajna. Agnaye swaha, agnaye idam na mama. Varunaya swaha, varunaya idam na mama. Indraya. We keep going on saying each and every god, and we keep saying idam na mama, idam na mama, idam. So, idam na mama is the principle of disconnecting. You follow? Idam na mama is the principle of disconnecting. Whatsoever wealth you have, remember this. Your primary obligation is to them. Something must be given to them. You can't make them go bankrupt and give it to a charity organization. Always remember this. Again, I repeat. What to do with the wealth, sir? If we have so much of wealth problem, I'll tell you, Sunil. Privately, we will talk. Yeah, I will take that burden from you. Poor thing. No, why do you have to suffer? Wealth burden, I will take. Family burden, you keep. Yeah. Family burden, you keep. Wealth burden, I will take. Because anartham, I'm saying I am taking. Artham, anartham, bhavaya, nityam, he said in Bhajagovindam. So artha is anartha. So I'm saying I will take that anartha problem from you. Where is the worry? You follow? So disconnect means how do I connect with anything? By calling it as by having a deep root. Calling means a deep rooted conviction, a very deep rooted conviction that this is mine. So first I have to make something as mine, and then I have to hold on to that which I call as mine. Again, first I have to acquire some, first I have to go and get something as mine. And then I have to keep that mineness going. Now, what does disconnect means? Disconnect means you can associate, you can serve, you can be grateful, but you need not call mine. You can associate, you can be grateful, you can serve, you can be grateful, you can be very closely associated, and yet you need not call as mine. That is how in Vedanta, in Vedas, in Vedanta, that's the method of disconnect that we try to understand. Association will continue. Association doesn't mean a indifferent way of associating. Not like how you associate with people in the flight, railway compartment. It's a very close association. You associate closely, you serve, you do everything. But one thing in you is very clear: what? Not to call it as, not to say it as mine. Now, when it comes to the wealth part, Sunil, when it comes to the wealth part, you share the wealth in the hierarchy of, first you fulfill the immediate obligation. There are three obligations. One is the immediate obligation. Another is the social obligation. In when Nachiketas went to Yama, Yama gave him three boons. Nachiketas went to meet Yama, and Yama, he has to wait for 3 days. 3 days and 3 nights he has to wait. Therefore, he said, since I made you wait for 72 hours, actually should have given 72 boons, he said. He said 3 days, and so I'll give you 3 boons. First boon, what did he ask? Appease my father. The father who sent him to Yama is the father that he wanted to appease. It means what? What is the first obligation? Your immediate obligation has to be done. Then comes the social obligation. Without fulfilling these two, you can never grow. Why? Because fulfilling these two is a recognition that you have been receiving a lot from them and you have served back. Are you able to follow? Fulfilling these two, not as an emotional attachment. Fulfilling these two implies you have a clarity. What is a clarity? That you have been receiving a lot from them. Having received a lot from them, that you have to serve them. Back. After fulfilling these two, you mature into the level of a sannyasi. And we discussed last week also. Sannyasi means, what is the definition of a sannyasi? Sannyasi means who is bold enough to say, I have no nitya naimittika karma. Sannyasi means who can bold enough to say, I don't have any nitya naimittika karma. For I have finished with everything. I have finished with everything. I have transcended it. Therefore, now that sannyasi has a third obligation. What is the third obligation? Loka Sangraha is already done. Loka Sangraha is already done. Social obligation is already, Loka Sangraha is already done. Therefore, there is no direct family obligation. There is no social obligation, because all this is being fulfilled. Then, what is it that the sannyasi has as an action, as an obligation? That's where we say the sannyasi alone will have one job of Guru Seva. Guru Seva is an exclusive discipline meant only for a sannyasi who has finished with Nitya Naimittika Karma. I cannot go to Guru Seva bypassing the Nitya Naimittika Karma. Most people do that because of the infatuation to the personality. Because they get so infatuated to the personality, they bypass the Nitya Naimittika Karma and they straight away think, I will do Guru Seva. By that Guru Seva, I straightly attain moksha. No. How do you say that? Because who should tell you that you are a sannyasi? You can't self-certify that you are a sannyasi. It's very, very clear. You can't self-certify that you are a sannyasi. So who should tell you that you are a sannyasi? The Guru will tell you that you are a sannyasi. On what basis Guru will tell you that you are a sannyasi? How much of Nitya Naimittika karma you have done? How much of Rina you are still left with? When you are still left with some Rina, you should not do this. You should finish that and come. Are you able to follow? Vivekananda came to meet Ramakrishna. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa asked him, how much loans you have? His family had loans. You know that? When he came to see Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, his family had loans. His father died, leaving some loans behind. That's why we say we are extremely grateful if the parents don't leave loans. That they need not leave assets. They need not leave assets. To be dependent on the asset is invalid life. That's a very sick, poor life. Greatest thing that they can do is what? They don't leave any loans behind. Vivekananda's father died and he left some loans behind. So Ramakrishna Paramahamsa said, finish your loans and come back. You know that? He said, go back, finish off your loans and then come back, then we will talk. 2 years it took him to finish the loans. He came back. Why? Because that Rina must be completed. You can't do partially here, partially there. Why not Monday to Friday, I will go to job, do the work, and Saturday, Sunday, do Guru Seva? In that way, it's a much better option, sir. We are balancing both, no? You will neither be here nor there. For in Vedanta, always remember the principle of Vedanta. The principle of Vedanta is not simultaneous practice. The principle of Vedanta is sequential. Remember this always. Nowadays, everybody is thinking everything can be mixed up and it can be done simultaneously. Meaning, you can be a materialistic person, you can be a karma yogi, you can be a sannyasi, all at the same time. How is it possible? It's like saying, in one day, I will attend 3 different classrooms. First, I will sit in a PhD class, and then I'll go to bachelor's class, and then I'll go to kindergarten also. But in the same day, where will you end up? Are you able to follow the confusion? Because you must have the clarity. What is the clarity? The clarity is spiritual practices in Vedanta are not simultaneous, sequential. Sequential means unless the Rina means you have not done enough Nitya Naimittika karma to offset that. If you have not done enough Nitya Naimittika karma to offset that, always what becomes your duty? Go and do your Nitya Naimittika karma. Are you okay till now? When you do the Nitya Naimittika karma, what is the method by transcending the Nitya Naimittika karma? How much if you do, you can say, I have transcended Nitya Naimittika karma. What is the method? That is why we say, instead of dedicating the Nitya Naimittika karma to person, I bring in the element God. The moment God is brought in, then only transcending Nitya Naimittika karma possibility will happen. Otherwise, you can go on serving the society, you can go on serving the primary obligations and the secondary obligations, the direct, indirect, whatever be those words are. When will you transcend? How will you transcend? That is why we bring in, that's why God is brought in. Are you able to follow? If God is not brought in, where we will end up? We'll end up doing only one thing. What? Busy serving the society, busy serving everybody. What will be the result? What will be the result? Lot of punya karma will come. That's why we bring in God. The person that I am serving is symbolic representation of God. So serving that person is serving God. That's why we say, that's why in this culture we treat everybody as God. Atiti Devo Bhava. We say no. Matru Devo Bhava, Pitru Devo Bhava, Acharya Devo Bhava, Atiti Devo Bhava. Taittiriya Upanishad, convocatory address this. In the Taittiriya Upanishad, the Sikshavali, where the person has finished the graduation, and their graduation, what time they go into the school? At 7, 8, they go into the school, and they leave the school only 20 years later, they will leave the school. Very dumb student, in 8 years, they will be kicked out. Yeah, 8 years, dumb student, 8 years, like that, you can't tolerate them. Yeah, so kick them out after 8 years. And then there are still who survive. And then, so average thing, 20 years, they finish. After 20 years of education, the boy asks, now that I'm leaving you, give me some final advice. To that student, Matru Devo Bhava, Pitru Devo Bhava, Acharya Devo Bhava, Ati Devo Bhava, teaching and all is given to that person. What is treating mother as God? If you see mother as the Nama Rupa, you can't treat her as God. If you see the father Nama Rupa, which father looks like God? Yeah, which mother looks like God? Which father looks like God? Which spouse looks like symbolic of Dharma? To the husband, wife should look like Dharma. To the wife, husband should look like Dharma, God. Then only it makes sense. Are you able to follow? Now, where is all this happening? Therefore, they said, when you are serving them, you can serve them with the gratitude, or you can add an additional factor. What is that additional factor that you can add? I am grateful to my mother in the form of what? What is the word? In the form of God. I am grateful to my father in the form of God. In the form of God. When you start bringing in that, when you bring in God, how does purity comes? This is very important to understand. Are you able to follow? When you bring in God, how does purity come? When you bring in God, naturally you will tend to become more and more introvert. That extroversion to introversion is possible by bringing in God. Are you able to follow? When you're bringing in God, extroversion, from extroversion, you will become an introvert. Why? For the for the for becoming sannyasi to pursue jnana yoga, you need to turn introvert. And what in turning introvert means? That is why we say service. It's not just service. People come and ask, as long as I am serving, I am following Vedanta. No, people say. For which, what is the answer? No, just because you are serving, you can't call it as that. Yes, serving is much better than being selfish and self-centered. That's all. Swa upakara, para upakara. That's why we call it paropakara. And then you find statements everywhere. Paropakaraartham idam shariram, all that they say, no. What does all that mean? Better to be unselfish than being selfish. That's all. But spiritual growth comes in only when you bring in the element of God. The element of God is the turning point. So when you start serving, when you start understanding everybody as God, by and by your interest moves to what? By and by your interest will move to whom? Towards what? Towards God. Towards God. That person seeking God dropping everything is a sannyasi. Because you can't part-time seek God. So you are done with everything so that you don't have a problem leaving anything for the pursuit of seeking God. So a person who is risking everything to seek God is a sannyasi. Who's a sannyasi? A sannyasi means one who's risking one who lets go of everything for the pursuit of God. That's why any sincere seeker of God will look very selfish in the eyes of others. When Gautam Buddha left, he looked very selfish in the eyes of others. When Shankaracharya left, he looks very selfish. When Ramana left, he looks very, very selfish. In them, they are not selfish. Why? Because the bridges are burnt. They can never go back. How do you know that you will never go back? When you are infatuated also, you think like that. No. Are you able to understand the difference? When two people get into a relationship out of infatuation, both will think what? Forever, isn't it? Both will tell each other forever, forever. How do you know that it's not going to last forever? How do you know that forever is not a? How do you know that forever doesn't exist at all there? What is the indication? What is the indication? The indication is only this. Are you able to see them as God? Are you able to see them as God? No, sir. Why do I have to see them as God? Why can't I see them as human beings only and serve? Correct. You can see them as human being and serve. You can ignore their personality traits and you can continue to serve. Punya karma will come. Spiritual growth will not happen. That's the difference. Are you able to follow? Therefore, God must be the necessary factor. Sannyasi means who has done the Nitya Naimittika karma, who has come into this level of growth. How did he transcend the Nitya Naimittika karma? By oblating, by dedicating everything to God. That's why we say when we cook for the sake of God. We bathe for the sake of, that's why we pray. Why do we have prayer for everything? You know, there are prayers for brushing your teeth. You know that? Prayers. Without prayer also you can be hygienic and clean. You can still be very hygienic. You can still be very clean. But that person will not turn spiritual. Are you able to follow the difference? You can still be very clean. You need not pray at all. But then that person will not turn spiritual. How do we understand the difference? Somewhere down the line, the Nama Rupa will start affecting. Somewhere down the line, the Nama Rupa will start affecting. Are you able to follow? You will get irritated with that Nama Rupa. Frustration will come with that Nama Rupa. And when you get irritated and frustrated, parting will not be a problem at all because you will say, I have served enough, sir. I have no problems leaving because I have done enough. Where have you done enough? How can you say that you have done enough without seeing them as? That's why the culture is what? See them as God and serve them for a period of time. See them as God and serve them for a period of time. Are you able to follow? Everything in nature is also seen as God. Why only the people around is God? The tree is tree God. The sun is sun God. Water is water God. Disease is what is disease now? Disease God. Oh, what are you talking, sir? How can there be disease God? Disease is also God here, isn't it? That's why we say Goddess has come, they'll say, isn't it? Goddess has come, they will say. Disease is also God. They will not say infection has come. Yeah. If you say infection has come, no, you will have a hatred. If you say goddess has come, now how you will serve that person? If you say goddess has come, you will serve that person. If you say infection has come now, you don't even want to go near them. Are you able to follow? The same parent who can take care of their child cannot do the same thing to the neighbor child. Why? What is not seen as dirt here will be seen as dirt there. What makes them see not dirt here? Mindness. Are you able to follow? Who's a sannyasi? Who's a sannyasi? Sannyasi means who have transcended the Nitya Naimittika karma. How is he able to transcend the Nitya Naimittika karma? Because he is able to bring in the element of God while doing Nitya Naimittika karma. Because he is able to bring in God. That's why we say business is, when I go to work, work is God. I am serving God by doing this work. So everything is associated with God, with God, with God. Over a period of time, because you are associating everything with God, what will be motivating you at one point in time in life? What is this? What is this God? Who is this God? Ekarupa, Anekarupa, with form, without form, and the avlo complication varum. That's why we are going to study all that now, Sunil. That's why we are going to study all that. Is God should be worshipped with form or without form? Somebody will come and say Ekarupa, somebody comes and Ekarupa. You go to some place, they put all symbols there like Chivuda, isn't it? You really don't know what to do there. You follow what I'm saying? Beyond a point, you are utterly confused about God. Therefore, to dedicate it to God, we need a clarity on God also. What is a clarity on God? Chapter 7, chapter 9. First clarity on God is given in chapter 7 and chapter 9. What is the clarity that you got about God? Sunil, I'm just moving into the discussion of the chapter, answering your question. What is the description of God in chapter 7 and chapter 9? The first introduction of God. God is the material cause. God is the instrumental cause. We see the world. Wherever we see a creation, obviously there is a creator. So chapter 7 and chapter 9 gave the first indication of God as the Mama Maya Duratyaya. 7 and 9, we studied that. I am in them, they are not in me. I am in them, they are in me. Remember that 4 statements? Chapter 7, chapter 9. That is the first definition of God. That is the first introduction of God. Arjuna said, these kind of introductions and all is very, very complicated and very confusing. Okay, in between, what is chapter 8? Unconnected flow. Yeah, unnecessarily he went into a tangent. Krishna answered that and brought him back to chapter 9. What is the tangent in chapter 8? What is the tangent in chapter 8? Halfway through, if I die, what will happen? Arjuna, Krishna, all that you are doing, I'm doing. Halfway through, if I die, what will happen? What a patience he has, sir. He went along with him and brought him back to chapter 9 again. And where he left in chapter 7, he continued in chapter 9. Same thing he continued. Arjuna in chapter 10 said, இதெல்லாம் நான் கேட்கல. இல்ல, this is not what I am asking. பாக்குற மாதிரி show me. இல்லையா? இல்ல நாம ரூபா, that நாம ரூபா, there is gold, there is pot, there is clay, there is gold, there is ornament. இதெல்லாம் வேணாம். Show me where I can see God. Show me. Beautifully he went into Vibhuti Yoga. Beautifully he gave he made you visually see God. Angi Arjuna didn't see. We also didn't see. Yeah, Arjuna didn't see, we also didn't see. Then he said, okay, idella vana. Okay, done. Okay, now put everything to her. He is refusing to see. Now what to do now? And then he went into chapter 11. What he did in chapter 11? Put everything together and show. No. Adhukku Krishna said, I must give you a Divya Chakshu, I will give you, he said. Appave Arjuna should have woken up and said, I don't want it. Yes. See, with your ordinary eyes, you can't see. And I'm going to give you a special eye. Na? What you are going to see is not going to be pleasant in Artham. Correct? Otherwise, why do you have to say, I will give you a special view, special eye, and everybody says, you should also get the Divya Chakshu, sir. Don't worry, you can't handle that Divya Chakshu. Because what is that Divya Chakshu said? What did Divya Chakshu showed? Vishwarupa. Hmm? Fear. Please, go back to your chapter 10, Aneka Rupa showed. Chapter 11, Vishwarupa, looking at the frightened, after looking at the Vishwarupa, he got so frightened, and then he came and said, Ekarupa, and the Chaturbuja Vishnu form of Vandrupa. That's all. That form is very soothing to me. Why? Because why that form is very soothing to me? Why that form is very comfortable to me? Because why? Why that form is very soothing? Because that form sings the lullaby back. This chapter 10 and 11 woke me up. Now I want a lullaby to go back to sleep, because you'll get irritated at the person who wakes you up. No, you are in a fantastic dream, isn't it? You are in a great dream. You are in an illusory dream. It's like you are the best in that dream. At least you are imagining that, isn't it? You are the best, you are the noblest, as though you are the center of the, and it's a fantastic dream. It's a fantastic illusion that we all live in. It's a fantastic illusion that we all live in, and we don't want to wake up from that illusion. He rudely woke you up by giving Divya Chakshu. Immediately said, no, I don't want that. From all this, what do you understand? He is not able to receive it. Why he is not able to receive it? Because he has not done, he is yet to do his Nitya Naimittika karma properly. Nitya Naimittika karma with right attitude is not yet done. It's very clear. Therefore, what is the advice that was given to Krishna? The advice that all of us require. What is the advice that we all require? In the area of your Swabhava, do Nitya Naimittika karma, which is Swadharma, dedicating everything to God. This is a summary of what we have studied till now. In the area of your Swabhava, do Nitya Naimittika karma, oblating it to God. In the sentences already 12 chapters I already. Just to say this sentence has taken 12 chapters. Still clarity will not come, don't worry. Because we will say, but sir, if my Swabhava changes, Nitya Naimittika karma will change, no sir? Correct. Your Swabhava will change upon your death. Where is the problem? It will change. There is no problem, because in a lifetime there is no change of, in a lifetime you don't go doctor, engineer, lawyer, I don't know what all you will do in one lifetime only, isn't it? Suddenly, sir, if I change that, this also will change. No, it will not change. Arjuna, your Swabhava is what? Your Swabhava is to be a Kshatriya. In that, do Nitya Naimittika karma as Ishvara Arpana and Ishvara Prasada. How come people are unmuting themselves? Nitya Naimittika When you do that Nitya Naimittika karma happens. Are you able to follow? So do Nitya Naimittika karma in the Swabhava field of activity, dedicating it to God. So Ishvara Arpana and Ishvara Prasada. Ishvara Arpana and Ishvara Prasada. That Ishvara Arpana and Ishvara Prasada is what will bring the shift from the Karma Yogi to a sannyasi. That is why we say it is not just mere karma alone, bringing in God as an element is very, very important to shift. Without bringing in God, you can do very good social service. There's absolutely nothing wrong in it. There's nothing wrong in it. But then introversion will not happen, spiritual growth will not happen. Why? Because social service is still extroverted. Social service is still an extroverted activity, isn't it? But sir, Instagram, Facebook promotion of Vedanta is introverted activity, no sir? Except this activity, rest are all extroverted, no? Why can't we do this, sir? If you are able to see it as God, it's working. But you can't see it as God. You are so excited about it. Your ego gets such a, your ego is fed through that activity. Are you able to follow? Only when you bring in God, ego gets diluted. Remember that. In social service, ego need not get diluted at all. In fact, it can become a very, very strong, subtle ego. And that subtle ego will think it can break law and it can do whatever it wants. The moment you bring in God, you know that you are being monitored. You have to be very careful. Are you able to follow? That's why God becomes a very important aspect to grow into sannyasi. Sunil. Answering your question, I went into the discussion of Bhakti Yoga already. I stopped answering your question long back. But then it was just, it just led me into it. Because who's a sannyasi? A person who has done Nitya Naimittika karma, oblating it to, dedicating it to God. The moment we say dedicating it to God, questions will come. What is God? How to dedicate? What is God? First is the problem. Then the next problem is what is dedication means. Third problem. Now how to dedicate. All that we are going to discuss now. Is it okay, Sunil? Yeah. As I said, we will discuss a few things about Bhakti Yoga as a formulas first, and then we will move into the chapter. I'm not moving into the chapter, even though Venkat didn't give me permission. I'm taking his. I am violating his law. Yes, Kolatur, Cholunga, welcome. Yes, Kolatur. Yes.
In the order of last week, when you were talking about the gradation of students and then the teaching, how it happens, you said, I'm not referring to you, so to my level, this Jnani and Sannyasi was out of syllabus.
Yes.
To understand the concepts you have spoken about and all.
Yes.
And of recently, you have started with from Adharmik to Dharma, Dharma to Karma Yogi to Sannyasi, and then Jnani. Those two categories seems to be very high conceptually even to understand. Forget about me to practicing those.
Yes.
Even to reach at the level of Karma Yogi is a big exercise to do many activities to come to that Karma Yogi level. Now, from Adharmik to Dharmic itself seems to be very, very achievement at my level. So, to understand this concept at the same time, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 4, 3, 1.
Yes.
It's, as you said, it's a big Shivoda, where concepts are thrown, but I will not be able to relate to that. But I am at, from Adharmic, I am trying to become Dharmic first. I am trying to establish there. Where is the question of me shifting from there? Karma Yoga itself is a big thing, sir. But please advise, am I right in that understanding? Because Karma Yoga itself seems to be very, very high level of development, where I will not be able to even stretch there as at this point of time.
Kulatur, first thing, in this classroom, nobody is expected to practice or grow. Adanaல we liberally throw concepts because it is just some conscience, some guilty feeling and all will go by sitting here for a while. That's all. More than that, nothing happens. More than that, nothing happens because I also feel I'm doing something. Concepts are thrown sequentially. Concepts are thrown sequentially. Why? Because we are at a level of not application growing. We are at a level of understanding the theory first. We are at a level of understanding the theory. Because we are at the level of understanding the theory, we try to make it as sequential as possible. When we try to make it as sequential as possible, it is like in the third standard classroom, in the second standard classroom, teacher will ask, what do you want to become? The second standard classroom. Master's degree, you don't know what you want to become. How will you know in the second standard what you want to become? But that sets a direction in thinking. It's a very effective methodology. It sets a direction in thinking. So you ask, isn't it? You know, only in the school that I went to, questions are not asked. You will be told what you should be doing. Yeah, in my class, in my school, I went. They will never ask. That's why I used to feel very, nowadays we just got used to it. At that time, I used to feel very thing when they come and ask. We all discussed teachers, what we should do. Teachers ask, what do you want to become in life? We discussed that. I'll be thinking, idallam syllabus we are not told. We are in the very first classroom, you are told that's it. The teacher will walk into the classroom. In the school that they'll walk into the classroom. Or 2 minutes, he will not talk anything. He will just keep looking at everybody. All of us are staring at him. He's staring at all of us. Now, what he is seeing, God only knows, sir. That's all. He'll be by the neighbor. And then first we think a priest has come to say the prayer, teacher is going to come next. That's how we will think about the teacher itself. Because the teacher itself will look like a priest. Yeah. ஒரு பஞ்சகச்சம் இல்லையா the way that we tie the dhoti here and one big அவ்வளோ பெரிய குடுமி ஒன்று இருக்கும் ஒரு big towel that big அங்கவஸ்திரம் wrapped around the upper body ஷர்ட் கூட போட தெரியாது அவருக்கு இல்லையா he will not even have a footwear செருப்பு கூட இருக்காது he will walk into the classroom obviously what you will think about him sir, no sir, we are all Stanford, Oxford, Great Lakes. I went to a very useless thing, I think. You go there, and I still remember that so vividly. I remember that even now. He will walk into the classroom, 2 minutes, he'll just stare. I don't know, randomly he picks or some clarity he has to pick. God only knows how he does it. He'll just say, you get up. You get up, you get up. After 2 minutes of staring at all of us, in 10 seconds, 15 of us will be standing. Nobody knows why we are even asked to stand up. We all will stand up. Hey, all of you are scoring centum this year. Sit down. He's already decided that we have to score No, when say, what do you want to become? What do you want to? Are you able to follow? You ask the child a question. What do you want to become? In second stanza, the child, I want to become aerospace engineer. Two in the mind, two in the fingers, இன்னும் கரெக்டா வரல இல்லையா? Aerospace engineer. But then we will not laugh at the child. Why? We will not laugh at the child. Why we will not laugh? Because it sets some goal, it sets some direction. Therefore, these concepts are given to set some direction in thinking, so that at any given point in time, why it is taught like that? You know why it is taught like that? The concepts are all given like that sequentially, and even though you may all get confused, it's still better to teach like this. Why do they do that? We don't understand, but the scripture understand. What is it? The privilege of having a guru. A privilege of having a guru is Jantunam Narajanma Durlabham, he says. And then having good association, access to Shastras and the Guru. Durlabha it is. Now, who's going to get it? Rarely people get it. Most of the time people get it and they don't even know what they are getting, because they just stumble upon as accidentally. It's like in the airport you bump into some celebrity, no? And then you can take a selfie also, isn't it? It's like that, we just keep bumping in. Jandunam Narajanma Durlabham. Are you able to follow? Therefore, very rarely you will get teachers like this. What to do? What to do? You must be well trained by yourself. Are you able to follow? So, therefore, the Shastras give the training from the beginning. What? All the concepts will be taught. The sequence also will be taught. This is the way in which you are made self-sufficient. Are you able to follow? All these concepts are taught so that you become self-sufficient. Arjuna's problem in chapter 8 was, in case if I forget, what will happen? Because if I die, I will forget everything. No, what will happen? You don't know that, Arjuna. You do this. Swalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat, he said in the second chapter. To Arjuna's question in chapter 8, he said, Nahi kalyana kritkasya durgatim tata gacchati. It means durgati will not come to you. When you are born itself, you will be able to grasp all this. You will be born with that capacity to grasp everything, because you have done that. Because you have done that work. Somebody will utter a word there, you will grasp. Somebody will say something, you will just it will be just revealing itself. Life becomes one constant revelation. Are you able to follow? Kalatur. We want people, the Shastras want people to come to that level. Therefore, they just give us all these concepts. Are you okay? Vijayaranga.
Sir, Hari Om, sir. Sir, maybe I'm going back to the Karma Yoga, the chapter 5.
Yes.
Where in which Krishna says to Arjuna,
Yes.
when in comparison to a sannyasa versus a Karma Yogi, what he is declaring that end of the statement,
Yes.
Karma Yogi is superior than the sannyasi.
Exactly correct.
So now my question is, maybe in the beginning of the chapter, he wants to encourage Arjuna has given the statement, and later is changing, sir, how?
Yes.
In the explanation, sir.
Correct. Right up to chapter 6, Vijayarangan, you are perfectly correct. Right up to chapter 6, Karma Yoga, Purushartha, self-effort. Karma Yoga, self-effort. Karma Yoga, self-effort. And unnecessarily, Arjuna kept on bringing in sannyasi. Are you able to follow? Actually, Arjuna is not at fault here. Because Krishna will praise Karma Yogi for 30 verses. At the end of the chapter, he will say, but. At the end of the chapter, he will say, but. That but upsets the whole discussion that he has been doing till now. Are you able to follow? It's a very wonderful teaching methodology. Praise, 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 praise. As he is getting ready to do that, but Arjuna, our better. Yeah. Are you able to follow? Jnana Yoga, he was praising Karma Yoga, etc. In chapter 2, he said, but finally, Sankhya Yoga knowledge is better, no, he said. Now Arjuna got confused. Why are you confusing me? Karma Yoga, Karma Yoga, Karma Yoga, Karma Yoga. End of chapter 4, he said, of all the yajnas, Arjuna, I think Swadhyaya Jnana Yajna is best. என்ன சொல்லியிருக்கணும்? Karma Yoga is better சொல்லியிருக்கணும். He said Swadhyaya Jnana Yajna is best, and then he went on to say Tadviddi Pranipatena Pariprashnena Sevaya Upadekshante tu Jnanam Jnaninas Tattvadarshinaha Jnanam po. So again in chapter 5, Arjuna asked the same question. Sannyasi or Karma Yogi? Even though they say they are Upanishad. That's how he introduces chapter 5. If you remember, he said, they say sannyasa is better, but Arjuna, I am telling you Karma Yoga is better. Me matam, in my opinion. In my opinion, Karma Yoga is better. It means what? He's giving a very specific Arjuna prescription. In this classroom, we don't give individual prescription like that. In this classroom, we give the general formulas. When I say general formula means I want general, not in the generalized way. We give the theorems in this classroom. When we give theorems in this classroom, there will be the contradictions. In the case of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna and Krishna, in a one-on-one conversation, he was liberally giving certain prescriptions also. Are you able to follow? What is the prescription that he's giving? Even though they say sannyasa is better, I am telling you Karma Yoga is better. And then 3 verses later, he went on to say, but whatever it is, Jnani is best. So what do you do with him? Are you able to follow? Even though you give a prescription, you don't want that to be understood as a theorem. You give certain specific advices. Those specific advices should not be treated as a formula to live life. That clarity we should have. Therefore, theorems will be given, some practical advices will be given. Are you able to follow? Practical advice means that which is temporary. Theorem means that which is permanent. Are you able to follow the difference? Practical advice means temporary advice it is. Why do we say it's temporary? Because till you come to the next level, it is applicable. Only till you come to the next level, it is applicable. That's why it's called practical means temporary. Theorems are right. Vijay Ranga. Therefore, order is very clear. What is the order? By default, adharmic. This is the order. By default, adharmic. From adharmic, become dharmic. From dharmic, take a U-turn. From dharmic, take a U-turn. Karma, bhakti. And then come into jnanam. Liberation. So, the steps are very clear. The steps don't change at all. Suddenly, Apple liked my thing. It did thumbs up. I couldn't understand. Who gave thumbs up to me? Apple gave itself, is it? Somebody gave thumbs up. It just blew on my face now. Okay. Okay, at least Apple is listening. MacBook is attaining moksha at least. Yeah, this MacBook is attaining. Okay, I gave thumbs up. The sequence is very clear. What is the sequence? Adharma, dharma, karma yoga, sannyasa, moksha. This theorem doesn't change at all. If we see a person getting stuck in karma bhakti, we will say useless karma bhakti, come to jnanam. When we see a person getting stuck in jnanam, we'll say words, 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 drop it. Are you able to follow? when we see a adharmic person talking like a sannyasi? Puridha? Sunil, if you see a adharmic person talking and behaving like a sannyasi, what do you have to tell that person? Become dharmic. Are you able to follow the sequence? So from adharma, dharma, karma bhakti, jnanam, moksha. That's the sequence. Yes.
I have two questions.
Yes.
The first one is, they said in Nitya Naitika Karma, all Namarupa learn to see it as God.
Yes.
So is that a Vishwarupa stage?
The question is in Nitya Naimitika Karma, we said learn to see Nama Rupa as God. Is it Vishwarupa? Yes, it is Vishwarupa. It is Vishwarupa. You must learn to see it as God and then serve. God in the form of father, God in the form of mother, God in the form of enemy. So all expressions become divine. Are you able to follow? No, sir, that is too difficult to accept. Therefore, at least understand that. Are you able to follow? Okay, that is too much to follow. How can we see bad people as God? How can we see a terrorist as God? For which the answer is what? For which what is the answer? If you are on that side, you will call a terrorist. If you are on that side, you will call freedom fighter. Now, is he a freedom fighter or a terrorist? Is he a freedom fighter or a terrorist? Which side are you in? That's what makes the difference. Are you able to follow? Which side are you in makes the difference. Mahatma Gandhi, father of the nation. Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Who is Muhammad Ali Jinnah? Honor notes. முகமது அலி ஜின்னா யாரு சார்? பேரே சொல்லக்கூடாது சார் வேதாந்தா கிளாஸ்லாம். இனிமே அவங்களாம் ராஜ்குமார். முகமது அலி ஜின்னா யாரு? அவர் அன்மியூட் பண்ணுங்க ராஜ்குமார. சொல்லட்டும் வாயில.
Father of Pakistan, sir.
ஃபாதர். அது ஆஃப் பாகிஸ்தான் கிடையாது. ஃபாதர். மகாத்மா காந்தி.
Pakistan.
மகாத்மா காந்தி.
Father of India.
The father of India is the father of Pakistan is the terrorist for India. Correct? Father of India is the terrorist as far as Pakistan. No, who is that? What are we even talking as a... See, do you understand how it's all so relative in terms, and we started giving such a reality and we believe in that reality and start developing hatred? Not realizing that these are all pure terms, relative terms. Are you able to follow? Number two, there are so many things in life that happens beyond our comprehension. We don't know why it is happening. Are you able to follow? There are so many things that happens in life. Why? We don't know why it is, isn't it? Very healthy person feeling like, oh, I have a mild discomfort, is gone. In 10 seconds, that person is gone. Another person wants to go, but not going only. We don't know. So there are so many things that are ignorant in life. There are so many things in life that we don't understand. Are you able to follow? Ego bends down. Ego will bend down. That ego bending down is what is called bowing down to Vishwarupa. Otherwise, we have the problem. What is the problem? A, B, C, D people definitely are not God, sir. Rest are all God. I agree. Yeah. I remember I don't know how many how many atheist meetings you have attended? Anybody here? I don't know how many of you would have attended 4 hours, 5 hours meetings of atheist people. I have attended. I'm told to go. The Acharya will tell me, hey, because I was living in Mylapore. And that Mylapore is where that, nowadays the meetings and all, they have dedicated place for meeting. There is that modern street called Mangolai. That's where meeting will happen. And oh my God, the meetings, it used to be very, very strong intellectual discourses. Meetings will happen, discussions will happen there. And lot of atheist meetings used to happen there. And I was living just 500 meters away from that place. So the Acharya tells me, go listen to them. Go listen to what they are saying. Go listen to what they are saying. Next week I'll go. He'll ask me, he'll ask me, you felt so angry and hatred, no? I said, yeah. What kind of a human being are you? You are not fit to even come near me. He will throw me out. 2 days I'll be standing there. He will not see me for 2 days. What kind of a human? He is saying something. Why do you have to have hatred towards that? Are you able to follow? Why do you have to have hatred towards that? It didn't suit you, fine. But you need not have hatred towards them. It's a harsh way of training, I tell you. But then it works. It's a very harsh way to get trained. But then we are not ready for that harshness yet. That's why we are very diplomatic here, because we are not yet ready for that. We are not yet ready for that harshness. Why? Very difficult to see it as Vishwarupa. That's why we said in Nitya Naimittika Karma, spiritual person means those who I serve, I see them as God and serve. Angadam Bhakti Yoga actually comes into play. Angadam Bhakti Yoga comes into play. Abu Ben Adam says, I'm not a social worker. Remember the poem Abu Ben Adam? Write me as one who loves my fellow beings, not a social worker. I see God in them. Therefore, God loves him in return. Are you able to follow? But that portion we miss. That portion we miss in Abu Ben Adam. We think, loving fellow human beings means like a social worker. No, not at that level. He takes it to the next. We need to be penetrative enough to understand. Are you able to follow? Therefore, that is Vishwarupa. Next question.
For God, you gave lot of definitions, like instrumental cause and intelligent cause. Then you said Vibhutiyava, then you said Vishwarupa, and then you said Rupa. All that you are saying. And then you say, you bath, eat, sleep for the sake of God. So I'm not knowing which God you are referring to, because I don't still understand. In all the Rupas, the term God is missing. I don't understand God.
Yes. The question, yeah.
So my question is, the God which I don't understand at all, why should I eat for the sake of that God? If you
Correct.
say eat for the sake of Arvind, then I'm able to understand. I am able to understand that I have directly received so much. So for Arvind, then I'm able to do. The God which I don't even understand after hearing so many sessions, why should I eat and sleep for that God?
God, correct. The question is how to oblate to God that's not known at all. How to oblate to God that's not known at all. 2 ways it will be dealt with. One way is culturally a deity, a form will be given to you and you will be told this is God. Do it for the sake of this God. Do it for the sake of this God is one training, which is what Bhakti Yoga is all about. That is one training, which is the effective training, which we lost to today because we thought that is superstition. And in the name of Vedanta also, we demolished it also. Not only everybody is demolished, in the name of Vedanta, that is sealed and buried completely. Therefore, we are not knowing what to do with this thing called bhakti. Are you able to follow? Now, what is this God? We are going to define that. We are going to discuss that. The entire Bhakti Yoga introduction is about that. Then only Arjuna's question will make sense. The entire Bhakti Yoga discussion that I am going to do is to discuss these various things on God. After understanding, we may get a clarity on what is this God. Are you able to follow? We are going to define it in various forms. We are going to understand it in various forms.
So after that, we will know why
We will know why.
for the sake
Yes, yes. After that. Any other clarification? So, Vishwarupa Dhyanam is also Saguna Ishvara Dhyanam. Clarification. Nagavi. Vishwarupa Dhyanam is Saguna Ishvara Dhyanam. Correct. Vishwarupa Dhyanam is Saguna Ishvara. Correct. Why? Because there is the Namarupa. There are attributes you are seeing and God. Therefore, both are one and the Vishwarupa is a Saguna. Vishwarupa is Saguna. That's why at the end of the previous session, I introduced the word Saguna Nirguna also. It is Saguna. Yes. Anything else? Should one know that he is oblating to the oneness? Clarification. Bharat. Should one know that he is oblating to the oneness? It is important to know to whom we are oblating. Then that oblation will have a direction. It cannot be a vague intellectual idea. Even though theoretically, not intellectually, from an intelligent angle, it looks like correct, but practically, you need to know what you are oblating to. You need to know what you are oblating to. You cannot oblate to you cannot oblate it to everything. The oneness. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu sarvasan mangalani santu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu sarvasan mangalani santu. Tripyata, 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 tripyata. All this means what? Directing to a very specific thing of contentment, welfare. So I need to know what I am oblating to. Oblating it to God, and that God will give contentment and welfare. That's why we say, Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu sarvasan mangalani santu. Go brahmanebhya shubhamastu nityam. Loka samasta sukhino. All this is said as prayer. Why all this is said as prayer? Because it is oblated to that God, and that it is oblated to a devata. And that devata will go and give all this. It is given to Lord Agni, and Lord Agni will take and give it to everybody. Then there is a clarity on what you are doing. Otherwise, I say, Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu, I open my eyes, nobody around me is also in sukha. Then my prayer looks like a vyartha. Are you able to follow? Therefore, why we bring in God? We bring in God because for loka sangraha, for the welfare of others, I have deposited with God. So my job is to deposit with God. God will decide when to give, and he will give. Just because I have given doesn't mean sukham will happen to that person. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu sarvasan mangalani santu means what? The welfare of others is being deposited.
Counted.
When it will be given to them? When it will be given to them? God decides the appropriate time and gives. God decides the most appropriate when it should be given to them will be given. அங்க ஒரு மூர்த்தி ஒரு தேவதா இருந்தாதான் conviction வரும். That's why in the initial level we have a murti, a devata to do all that. Even though intelligently we say no sir, no, it can just, it can in the energy form, it can be in the air and it can go no. All this is so intellectualizing, but no service will happen at the end of the day by all this. Why? Because there is no conviction that it will reach that person. Opposite of that is what? You offer it to God, and your job is to offering it to God. Delivering is whose responsibility at the appropriate time? Delivering it at the appropriate time is God's. Therefore, I utter a prayer and I see nothing is happening, I will not have a doubt at all about prayer. Are you able to follow? Otherwise, you do a prayer and you see nothing is happening, immediately what goes out? The conviction in the prayer goes out. Prayer will stop. Why? Because I did so much, sir, nothing is happening. No, you are only depositing. When it will come? Karma pala dhata, it will be delivered. Therefore, oblation must be dedicated to a devata, a deity. And the deity is symbolic, we understand that. The deity is symbolic, we understand that. See from this angle. See from this angle. If everything is going to happen according to their own actions, according to their own law of karma, what is service and helping another then? Everybody is going to reap their own karma. Means, where does prayer come in now? Where is one prayer going to help the other? Everybody is going to reap their own karmas is what we say on the one side. On the other side, we say perform activities for their welfare also. How does the prayer, the Loka Sangraha activity helps the other? Are you able to follow the question? How does it help? That little help that comes motivates the person to remember the divine. That little help that comes to everybody. That little help that comes to everybody in distress. They say, suddenly someone came and helped and went, sir. Where did it happen? Does it happen all of a sudden from somewhere? This is prayer. Prayer in action. That's what we do. Are you able to follow? Are you able to follow? We go on depositing, we go on praying. Somebody is in distress. Help comes from some unknown quarter. Suddenly somebody will come and say, help. You carry a cash bag, 10 lakhs, you leave it in the auto and get out. 5 hours later, the auto fellow comes and 5 hours later, the auto fellow comes and gives you the cash bag and walks out. At that time, that person looks like whom to you? At that time, that person looks like God. It is God. God in that form. What made him to do that? That's the connection we understand. That's how the Lok Sangraha, Yajna Karma and all works. Are you able to follow? Yajna Karma. That's why we say We keep on depositing thoughts for the welfare. We keep on depositing thoughts for the welfare. At the appropriate time, when it has to be delivered, it will be delivered. It's not a Pratyaksha Pramanam proof, it is an experiential Pramanam. It's not a Pratyaksha Pramanam. You can't know this happened like this. It's not like a coconut seed and a coconut tree kind of a Pramanam. It's not like that kind of a direct cause and effect, but suddenly the help comes. Then that person gets a conviction. What? That kind of a help brings a conviction in the nobility, in the virtue of life. Are you able to follow? That person brings, so indirectly you are cultivating virtues to others also by prayer. Because when this kind of help comes, that person gets a conviction in the nobility, in the virtue. Then what happens? I should also be virtuous. It's a beautiful interconnected thing, this prayer is. Little bit of Bhakti Yoga also before we conclude. Yeah, little bit of Bhakti Yoga also before we conclude. Bhakti essentially starts with a Bhakti essentially will start with the deity. Deity. Deity is associated with, the moment deity comes, certain things get associated with the deity. What are the things that get associated with the deity? A set of rituals, a set of activities, which we call as ritual. Actually, the word ritual is a very poor word. We will not use, I will not love to use the word ritual at all, because ritual is a very, ritual looks like one derogatory thing. You know, it's almost, it has a uselessness in it. That's why we don't, I would not prefer to use the word ritual. There is a deity and there is an associated activities that will develop around that deity. And why that deity will be introduced? What is the purpose of introducing a deity when it is going to be dismissed later? Why introduce it first? Why introduce the deity and demolish it later? It is exactly like Visarjan. Only in the concept of Indian Bhakti you have Visarjan also. Visarjan you all understand? In no other culture you will have Visarjan happening. We will, out of nothing, we will make a deity. And we will sit in front of the deity and talk all our problems. Seek strength from the deity. And take strength from the deity and go and dissolve the deity. Insane it looks like, no? Why do we do that? Bringing in the deity is introducing a human being to Adrishta. Remember two things in life, Drishta and Adrishta. We have to bring in the deity to open up the human being's thinking towards Adrishta aspect of life. And the Adrishta aspect of life open up another, dharma will be meaningful. Because dharma is Adrishta by nature. Therefore, deity is introduced as a well thought of process. It's not a superficial, ritualistic, so mechanical thing. No, it's a well thought of thing. Why? Because the introduction of deity introduces you to Adrishta aspect of life. Remember these two words, Drishta and Adrishta? Life is Adrishta, not Drishta. Predominantly, life is Adrishta. And we need to have a clarity on the Adrishta aspect of life. In order to even understand that there is this thing called Adrishta, What is the starting point of introducing the Adrishta? Deity, a Murti. Deity means a Murti. Some Murti, doesn't matter. Have your Murti, doesn't matter. Whatever Murti you like, have. But have one Murti definitely. Why? Because that Murti wakes you up to the Adrishta aspect of life. What is the Adrishta aspect of life? Dharma, the law of karma. So the Dharma, the law of karma, you look at the deity, you look at the Murti, the deity, that Murti is going to remind you of the law that is Adrishta by nature. Because it is very difficult to understand the Adrishta aspect straight away and be disciplined and all that, fear will be planted in. That deity will punish you. Are you able to understand the sequence now? Deity will be introduced to Adrishta. So we don't believe in that. Why we don't believe in that? Because we don't believe in Adrishta, isn't it? What is believing in Adrishta means? There is a law that is going to manifest over different timeline. That is Adrishta. Again, carefully follow. Adrishta means there is a law that determines that action will fructify at a different timeline. This is called Adrishta. Drishta means action and effect is immediate. That is Drishta. This is the meaning of Adrishta. Now, unless you understand Adrishta, you will not know what is the law of karma, what is divine, what is all that you will not understand. Therefore, deity will be introduced. And the first disciplining factor of a human being is fear. First disciplining factor of a human being is fear. What makes human being disciplined predominantly? Fear. Fear of what? Punishment. And other fines will be kept very high. In the society where fines are kept very high, there is an order. Yeah. Oh. Singapore is so clean, sir. Punishment is very high. Fines are very high. No way that you can escape. Fine is high and you can't escape. Obviously, it will be clean only. In India, fine is very high on paper and you can escape also by paying 1/10 of it. Now, who will follow the law? It's not that. It's a very civilized society there. It's an uncivilized society here. Human beings are the same, whether in Singapore or Dubai or America, human beings are the same. Nobody wants to obey the law. It's the same. But they fear the punishment and they obey. How to bring in the fear? It's very important. But then we should not be stuck at fear. We should mature. We should outgrow fear and be disciplined out of understanding. But then that is asking for too much in the beginning. You can't put that's asking for too much in the beginning. Therefore, what they did, they created a deity and a set of associated rituals with the deity, a associated set of activities to the deity, and they told you, you must do it according to the rule. Sir, anyway, bhavana only matters, no, sir. Anyway, bhavana only matters, no. This is adharmic person talking like a sannyasi. Are you able to understand now? Everybody talks like that. Even yesterday, in my house, see, anyway, bhavana only matters. I was just laughing. I said, what is bhavana? How do you even, it is just adharmic person talking like one sannyasi, and at a superficial level, this logic looks right, but it's absurd. Why? Because this logic is making the person to do what they like to do, refusing to obey the law. Because refusing to obey the law is very frustrating and irritating. Therefore, I'm finding an excuse to violate the law. What is the excuse? Anyway, bhavana only matters. Anyway, God is there everywhere. No, God is not everywhere. God is in a temple only, full stop. Go there first. Correct. God is everywhere. Then you should be a sannyasi. You should not have a problem with anybody. No. No, sir, God is everywhere, but I'll have problem with everybody around me. Then who are you having problem with gods around you? What are we even talking? Deluded to the core. Therefore, Bhakti tells you very clearly, where is God? Temple, go there, full stop. Go there first. Learn to prostrate there first. Because if you can see God everywhere, hatred will not be there. Adveshta sarvabhutanam. First slap he gives on the face for all the pseudo devotees. First slap he gives and says, hatred you have no. Yes. To whom all you have hatred. To those who served you maximum you have hatred towards. Any bhakti that is? What kind of a bhakti? Are you able to follow? Therefore they kept those rules very rigid. Do it. After doing it over a period of time, you will be able to understand the answer to the question. You will be able to understand the answer. What is the answer? That's a stepping stone. Idol is the ideal. That's why I always say, with this I conclude for Bhakti today. Nobody is idol worshippers. Everybody is ideal worshipping only. Remember that. Idol worship is a wrong terminology. Take it or leave it. No, sir, but that person said it, this person said it, whoever said it. Yata ichasi, tata kuru. Idol worship is a wrong terminology. Everybody worship ideal only. To you, it's an ideal. To the rest, it will not make sense. That is correct. Are you able to follow? The photograph of the father is a paper. Are you paper worshipping? Logically, you are paper worshipping. No. Logically speaking, you are only worshipping the paper. Logically, you are only garlanding the paper. It means, will you worship all the paper? Will you garland all the paper? No. That is the father. That's when you are garlanding, you are not garlanding the paper. You are garlanding the father because it's ideal to you. Important thing in Bhakti Yoga that for lesson today. Nobody is idol worshippers. Everybody worships the ideal. It may not be ideal to you, that is okay. Supposing if I vacate the house now today, the next person coming into the house will throw the first thing. What the first thing will be thrown out? All the photographs that I am worshipping, because in that person's eye, it's dirt. இதெல்லாம் என்ன சார் அசிங்க இந்த மூஞ்சி எல்லாம் ஒரு மூஞ்சி கூட நல்லா இல்லை he will say. Not a single face looks beautiful. What, you will have Mr. World and Miss Universe or what? Are you able to follow? Remember this. Nobody is idol worshipping. Everybody worships ideal, and it's a specific subjective phenomena. Because it is a subjective phenomena, others will not be able to understand it. It can be easily ridiculed. Because it gets easily ridiculed, you also get confused and you stop. Supposing somebody comes and tells you, you are paper worshipping. Next day when I look at my father's photograph, my mind will start working. What am I seeing now? What will I see there? Oh, paper தான் correct. Paper தான் அது. Throw it out. Wow, I have become a sannyasi and moksha I will attain. When I throw that out, what is thrown out? What gets thrown out? My gratitude gets thrown out. Because I feel I don't need to do any of these things anymore. Are you able to follow? Therefore, for today, Bhakti, important aspect of Bhakti Yoga is an idol, a deity, and we are all Whether we like it or not, we are all idol worshippers. The idol we worship will differ from person to person, that's all. But all worship idol only because they are all still personality attached. No. We are all still personality attached only. Where is that? Where is the maturity to go to Nirguna Brahman? Because we don't have the maturity to go to Nirguna Brahman, we are at the level of Saguna Brahman. At that Saguna Brahman, instead of having a human Nama Rupa, we'll have a deity. That's the difference. Are you able to follow? We have because we are all personality worshippers only. How much ever our ego makes us to believe that we are all, sir, in this classroom, we are all intellectuals, sir. We don't belong to that category, sir. Maybe you belong to that category, looks like. But we all belong to that league. What is the indicator? If you belong to that league, or a indicator, what is the indicator? Dvesha is there? Do you have Dvesha? Naraya irukku, sir. Samruddhiya? Dvesha, I have Samruddhi. Samruddhi means so much I have. Go back. Don't try all this. A adharmic person should not talk like a sannyasi. This is called devil quoting the scriptures. This is called devil quoting the scripture. Therefore, one of the essential ingredient aspect of bhakti is what? A murti, a deity, and associated things with the deity. And the deity is what is given to you as part of the culture. Deity is that which is given to you as part of the culture. For example, when we look at Ganesha here, we don't see him as what is this weird form, sir? Obese body, because he has a big stomach, no? Yeah, like who's the Japanese fighters? Sumo wrestler, Mari, his stomach is, isn't it? Yeah, he has that, no? The stomach in him is like that. Elephant head, another weight, sitting on one mouse. பெருச்சாலையிலாவது உட்கார்ந்துருக்கலாம் இல்லையா இல்லையா சிட்டிங் ஆன் மவுஸ்னா அது தமிழ்ல வந்து மூஞ்சூருன்னு வாங்க இல்லையா மூஞ்சூரு ஐ டோன்ட் நோ வாட் இஸ் த இங்கிலீஷ் டிரான்ஸ்லேஷன் ஃபார் தட் மூஞ்சூர் த ஸ்மாலஸ்ட் rat that will get that can go through the gap of the door gap, it can go through that. Adala he is sitting. A person who doesn't have this background will see all that, but we don't see any of this. Straight away we see, and so that's culture. That's culture. That's the deity. That's the culture. Remembrance of the adrishta. Remembering the adrishta. The violate panna punishment in Rabayam. That's why they say, God will punish you. Oh my God, I will not do it. I should not do it. But if I make a mistake, what to do? Prayaschitta. Do prayaschitta. What is prayaschitta? Inflict punishment on you. Yeah. What is prayaschitta? Inflicting punishment. What is inflicting punishment means? If I do this mistake, I will not eat one day. If I do this mistake, I will not eat one day. But sir, diabetes I have. Diabetes I have. Doesn't matter. Don't practice this, huh? Doesn't matter. Die of diabetes. What will happen? Another Janma, you're going to continue the same. What is going to happen? Big deal. Nothing will happen. Oh, death is a boo boo. What will happen? Death. What will happen? Nothing will happen. The courage to do the right thing, even if I have to die, adu adrishta. Deity will give you the conviction. That's where bhakti is. Remember that. Bhakti will give you the conviction to do the right thing, even if I have to die for that, I will die, but I will do the right thing. அதுதான் dharma, adrishta. Deity, the bhakti will bring in that conviction. You follow? One of the important aspect of bhakti yoga like this. Similarly, there are a few more things which I will introduce, and then we will move on to the verses. Thank you.